A timeline of Donald Trump and UFC CEO Dana White's relationship. Donald Trump and Dana White have enjoyed a decades-long friendship predating presidential politics. In each of Trump's 3 presidential campaigns, White lined up behind the president-elect. During the 2024 race, the mixed martial arts leader also appeared on Trump's first TikTok video. Donald Trump might be the only person who can attend an Ultimate Fighting Championship fight and outshine the headliners. Even UFC CEO Dana White doesn't draw the same type of reaction. In November, Trump set the crowd off by walking into UFC 309 at Madison Square Garden to join his entourage, which included Elon Musk, House Speaker Mike Johnson, and Trump's cabinet nominees. White stands at the center of it all. In just under 3 decades, White has turned his sport, once on the fringe of pop culture, into a spectacle that even a president-elect couldn't resist. Trump and White's decades-long friendship has been mutually beneficial. White has repeatedly said he will never forget how Trump offered a grand stage to his sport when few others would. Trump successfully deployed White's cohort of podcasters and influencers, led by Joe Rogan, in his 2024 election win. "Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does," White told the energetic crowd at Mar-a-Lago as it was apparent that Trump had been elected to a second term. "This is what happens when the machine comes after you." Here's a look at the decades-long relationship between Trump and White over the years. Donald Trump gave a big early boost to UFC. In 1990, Trump opened Trump Taj Mahal, a billion-dollar prize jewel in Atlantic City, that businessmen billed as the 8th wonder of the world. At its peak, it was the biggest casino in town. Trump needed big acts to fill the casino's arena, which Elton John had christened. In 2001, Trump took a chance on the UFC, which was still trying to escape its brutalist stigma. The sport that then John McCain, famously called human cockfighting, in the 1990s, couldn't even put on an event in Las Vegas. Trump's UFC event came at a pivotal moment. Shut out of Nevada, UFC staged its fights in a series of smaller venues around the country and the world. White considered the invitation to the Taj Mahal a sign of legitimacy. "Nobody took us seriously," White has repeatedly said, "except Donald Trump." Trump's backing came during a crucial time in the company's history. In January 2001, a month before the Trump-hosted fight, casino moguls Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta purchased UFC. They picked White, Lorenzo's friend and a manager for 2 of mixed martial arts' biggest fighters, as the president. September 2001, UFC was in Vegas. 4 years later, White led UFC onto the airwaves on Spike TV, cashing in the popularity of reality TV competitions with The Ultimate Fighter. It helped that in 2004, Trump welcomed Tito Ortiz, one of the sport's biggest stars, onto the first season of NBC's Celebrity Apprentice, the glitzier spin-off to Trump's smash reality TV hit. Under White's leadership, UFC's popularity skyrocketed. The Ultimate Fighter was a big success, increasing the company's popularity. White locked in UFC's voice. If White is the face of UFC, Rogan is undoubtedly its voice. His association with the company even predates White's time as president. After the Fertitta brothers purchased UFC in 2001, White offered Rogan a full-time gig as a color commentator. Rogan has said it's in his contract that he'll leave the UFC if White ever exits, too. Rogan's profile grew alongside the UFC, considering his association with mixed martial arts was part of why he became the host of NBC's Fear Factor. The comedian cashed in on his bigger profile in 2009, starting what was then a weekly commentary show. By the time Trump first ran for president in 2016, The Joe Rogan Experience was one of the most popular podcasts in the world. Business didn't get in the way of Trump and White's friendship. While he's known for real estate, Trump has sought out many other partnerships and business ventures to varying degrees of success. In 2008, Trump partnered with Affliction, a clothing brand, to launch a competitor in the mixed martial arts space. Their promotion even landed Russian fighter Fedor Emelianenko, whom White and the UFC had previously sought to sign. The venture lasted only 2 fights. According to the New York Times, White sometimes criticized his friend, pointing out his inexperience in operating such a company. Donald Trump owns casinos. White and Trump remained close. The UFC had even vowed that he would never fully go after Trump, a nod to the real estate mogul's early support. White was once far from a conservative firebrand. In 2010, White campaigned with Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid of Nevada as he sought to hang onto his seat amid a difficult year for Democrats. Reid won, and Democrats held on to a slimmer U.S. Senate majority. According to the Times, White's politics mirrored Trump's in that both businessmen viewed the enterprise through a transactional lens. Trump faced criticism in the 2016 GOP primaries for previously supporting leading Democrats like Hillary Clinton. White spoke as if he was a stranger at the 2016 Republican National Convention. Few major establishment Republicans spoke at Trump's 2016 convention. Enter White, one of a handful of longtime Trump friends who extolled the virtues of the man who would soon become the Republican Party's presidential nominee. White even alluded to the fact that his attendance might appear odd. "My name is Dana White. I am the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I'm sure most you are wondering, what are you doing here?" White told the crowd in Cleveland. "I am not a politician. I am a fight promoter, but I was blown away and honored to be invited here tonight, and I wanted to show up and tell you about my friend, Donald Trump, the Donald Trump that I know." White returned to the trail again in 2020. Ahead of Trump's re-election bid, White said Trump's time in the White House only deepened their relationship. "We've actually become even closer since he's become the President of the United States," White said during a 2020 campaign rally. "When somebody becomes the President of the United States, you don't ever expect to hear from them again. And I understand it. It absolutely makes sense. This guy is so loyal and such a good friend." The COVID-19 pandemic made White a conservative star. The COVID-19 pandemic devastated the live event business. Sports, including the UFC, were no exception. White saw an opening as the four major professional leagues struggled through discussions on how to return. White tried to get the UFC to return with an event on tribal land in California, but that effort was postponed amid Disney and ESPN's uneasiness. In turning to Governor Ron DeSantis' Florida, White found a much more receptive audience, even if the first fight didn't allow any fans. UFC 249 in May was the first major sporting event since the pandemic's beginning. Trump delivered a video message congratulating White on the event. "Get the sports leagues back, let's play," Trump said in a video recorded outside of the Oval Office. "Do the social distancing, and whatever you have to do, but we need sports. We want our sports back." Out of power, Trump found refuge at the UFC. After leaving the White House, Donald Trump wasn't welcomed in many places. Following the January 6 Capitol riot, the two biggest professional golf governing bodies rebuked him. The Professional Golf Association even stripped one Trump-owned course of the right to host one of the PGA's major four tournaments. In July 2021, the Manhattan District Attorney indicted the Trump Organization, setting off an array of legal headaches that didn't abate until after the 2024 election. A week later, Trump entered to mostly cheers in Las Vegas as he prepared to take in UFC 264. Trump made the UFC central to his 2024 bid. Trump officially launched on TikTok at UFC 302 in June 2024. The fighting promotions audience was also the perfect place for the former president's campaign, given his advisors' emphasis on attracting young men. White's broader orbit suddenly intertwined with the former president's comeback campaign. Trump, and later his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, made a point of appearing on podcasts geared toward this demographic. The Nelk Boys, Theo Vaughn, Aiden Ross, and Bussin' with the Boys, all shared close ties to White. Trump appeared on each of their respective shows. White energized the crowd at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally just days before the